Meantime, on to Baltimore now. We've been talking today about new video just released by the Baltimore Police Department, which gives another look at the moments before and during Freddie Gray's arrest. The video coming from some of the city's surveillance cameras. Police say it will help as they try to piece together a timeline of what happened. They now admit officers made inexcusable mistakes in the arrest of Gray, who died days after he was taken into custody. For more perspective on this case, I want to bring in Cheryl Dorsey, a retired LAPD sergeant. She served on the force for 20 years. And HLN legal analyst Joey Jackson, who is in New York City. Good to see both of you.
Hello, Fred. Good afternoon.
All right, so we are learning a little bit more by way of the city mayor and the city police commissioner. And one conclusion, there were admitted mistakes, both saying, the commissioner and the mayor, that mistakes were made by the officers in the arrest, that Gray should have been buckled in that police van for one, and that he was not given medical care, especially when it was requested. So, Cheryl, from what you heard, the commissioner outlined and now saying that there are 600 CCTV cameras that also will help fill in some of the blanks. What is most concerning to you about the information that you've heard so far, or maybe even the lack of information?
Well, hello, Fredricka and Joy. Good to be back with you both again. So I'm troubled by a couple of things, and I'm glad that they're admitting that there are problems after Mr. Gray was detained, but I have a problem with why he was detained to begin with. There was no probable cause. There was no reasonable suspicion. I'm told earlier in the week by the president of the Police Benevolent Officers Association that Mr. Gray was suspicious in a high crime area, and I guess that would mean that any black man who's out could be stopped, chased, and have their spine severed. And so I'm glad that they're admitting that there's wrongdoing after the stop. But also what's troubling is that there was a lieutenant and sergeant of police on the scene among those 6 officers, and neither the lieutenant nor the sergeant had the wherewithal to step in and say, that's enough, no more, let's get help.
So, Cheryl, to your point about being able to arrest, detain, pursue Freddie Gray because he was suspicious, there is this federal allowance that in certain high crime areas throughout the country that police are able to pursue someone based on their suspicion, but there doesn't have to be probable cause. So as an LAPD officer yourself, Los Angeles has plenty of high crime areas. Was that a condition that was ever used, as far as you know, to lead to someone's arrest? There may not have been probable cause, but because they were in a high crime area, which is exactly the message being sent by these police officers, they were still able to pursue someone.
Well, we hear that all the time, but officers need to be able to articulate what that suspicious activity is, because just being in a high crime area and being a black man does not therefore make you suspicious, because if that were the case, then you should never leave the house. And so unless there's some type of criminal activity that you can articulate that this individual is directly involved in or is reasonably believed to be involved in, then you don't get to chase them down. And just running is not reasonable.
Mm-hmm. So Joey, a lot is being revealed in this case alone. There's more than a race problem, a relationship problem between police and community. There's a policy problem. There are law problems. There's a lot that is being magnified here. But what can be addressed, if anything, first in some of the questions that the police commissioner or maybe even mayor, any number of these 6 officers, they must address first?
Well, Fredricka, first of all, you have to address the growing distrust between the police department and the community. That's where it stems. And it has to be a relationship that's predicated upon mutual trust and mutual respect. And when you look back and you evaluate and you find out that 1 in 6 people in Baltimore were being arrested under Mayor O'Malley, now certainly if anybody's engaging in criminality, nobody deserves a free pass. But when that many members of the community are arrested, you have to wonder what's going on there, and does it lead to other problems such as distrust, etc. And so in working with the clergy and working with the community and working with whether it's the faith leadership of the clergy that I just mentioned, whether it's the schools, whether it's community organizations, there has to be some coming together, because the reality is that the community depends upon the police in turn depend upon the community to solve crime. And so unless that relationship is cooperative, it becomes problematic moving forward.
Okay, and some of these things can be explored simultaneous to this investigation. Others kind of are long-term, something to work on. But Cheryl, if I get a last comment from you before we wrap up. The family now about to conduct its own kind of forensic pathology autopsy after the city or county has already done so. How much do you worry about whether this body has been compromised in order to get an accurate assessment of exactly how and at what point was he killed?
Well, I would certainly hope that the body has not been compromised. And of course, we need an independent reviewer, someone other than the police department, to come to some kind of conclusion in terms of how Mr. Gray died. And so I'm just going to trust and pray that the family's representative will be able to do that pretty quickly and have some answers for them, something that will bring them some comfort and peace.
All right, Cheryl Dorsey, Joey Jackson, thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Fredricka.
And we'll have much more right after this.